Okay, problem 3 gives us some good practice on adjusting entries. Most of them are pretty straightforward. There's a couple of landmines here. We'll go through them. So the first thing they tell us is this company lent $9,100 to another company. A note was signed with principal and 8% interest to be paid on September 30th. Things we have to keep in mind. We have to always make sure we know what date we're working with. This is December 31st, 2013, and we took the note in October. So we have October, November, December. So based on that, we have the 9,100. We need to do 91,000, excuse me, times the interest rate, 0.08, times the 3 months, which is a quarter of a year. And when we do that, we have $1,820, debit interest receivable, because we're getting the money, credit interest revenue. And that was a little bit tricky, because normally when we see these, we're thinking we're borrowing the money, not lending the money. Okay, the next is the rent expense, and that's pretty straightforward. $9,600, which for 3 months rent. I divide that by 3 and then multiply by November and December, 2 months. So that's 9,600 divided by 3, multiply by 2, and that comes up with 6,400. And I know that you could look at it and say, well, really that's just 2/3, but why not just break it down into months and do it? It's just easier to do it that way. Okay, now the next one I have to caution you to be very careful about, okay, because they collected $15,600 rent in advance, and the entire amount was credited to rent revenue. This is not what it seems at first. What they did is they put the entire amount to rent revenue, and at the end of the month, at the end of the year rather, we have to take out the revenue that was over-reported. So what we have to do is we have to figure out how much of the rent revenue is left, not how much is still there, okay? So they credited the entire amount to them. So again, I would do it the same way. 15,600 divide by 12, and then we're looking to see how much is there, and so there's 7 months left. Remember, they used August, September, October, November, December. They used 5. There's 7 months left. So we're going to credit unearned revenue for that 7 months, 9,100, and debit the revenue for 9,100. In other words, we're reducing the revenue. We're saying we recognize this revenue all last year, but there's $9,100 of it left. That's what we're doing there. You just have to read problems carefully. Okay, the depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation is not worth talking about. Salaries expense, this is something you may not realize, but when you accrue vacation pay, and that's what's going on here, the vacation pay for the year that has been earned, that is an accrual. We have to record that at year end. That's a payable. We owe them that. And if you ever don't think that we owe them that, try to tell an employee sometime that you're not going to give him or her their vacation time. They will make it painfully clear that that money is owed to them. So that's simply salary expense and salaries payable I have seen that also described as provision for vacation pay. I'm not trying to make you guys bookkeepers, so we're not going to get too deep into that. And the last one is the supply expense. And here's what we need to do. We had $3,200 at the beginning. It tells us an asset account. That means it's prepaid. We bought $7,700 during the year. So that's what we had all together. At the end of the year, we had that much left. So how much did we have to spend? And if you do the gazintas and the gazaltas, there comes to $7,050. So we will debit supply expense, $7,050. Credit supplies or supplies on hand or supply inventory, $7,050. Good overall review and refresher of adjusting entries.